So the question is, does Indonesia need to invest in biotechnology-derived therapeutics? I will shorten it as biologics. So uh, this has been in my mind for a long time because I visit Indonesia often and give lectures there and see what the development in Indonesia in this area. So my work basically uh, try to develop biologics, including peptides, for therapeutics. So before I start, I would like to introduce a little bit what we do and my background. Early on, after I did my postdoc, I got the opportunity to work in Lahore Cancer Research Foundation. Over there, that's how I learned how cell adhesion molecule function. And at that time, my supervisor discovered this sequence called RGD. Uh, Out of that sequence, we found cyclic peptides of RGD peptides can inhibit thrombosis. So at the end, that molecules become a therapeutic called integralin. And then Merck developed agrostat, which is antithrombic agent. So after that, I move on to Sterling Winthrop. At Sterling Winthrop, I work with enzyme inhibitor, also peptidomimetics, and then moved to Kansas. In Kansas, I work with lots of peptides that inhibit autoimmune disease and how we try to deliver drug to the brain. So over the years, we also collaborate with pharma industry and biotech industries to help them develop their products. Here currently, we have three active research. One area we are trying to deliver therapeutics to the brain. And as you can see, we are now able to deliver antibody to the brain because, as you know, brain diseases is very difficult to treat because there is a blood-brain barrier that select molecule that can get from the blood to the brain. So only 2% of drugs currently available can get into the brain. So this is a big problem. That's the reason it's very difficult to treat brain diseases such Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and also brain tumors. So the other area that we've been doing is try to develop molecules or biologics that control autoimmune diseases such as arthritis and multiple sclerosis. We also continuously work with biotech industry. We work with major biotech industry and also with a small biotech company. That's the reason I'm really interested in this lecture and to open the potential collaborations with my counterparts in Indonesia. Also, we already also doing this with UNPAD and UGM and early on with University of Indonesia. And we also try to develop a similar molecule like a Paxlovid drug for COVID, and now we are expanding it to various antiviral agents for coronaviruses. So we're going to go to our topics. The question is, does Indonesia need to invest biotechnology therapeutics or biologics? So I'm going to say biologics from now on. If you search Google, the answer is says yes. Indonesia would greatly benefit from investing in biotechnology therapeutics. There are many reasons for that. One of them, I just pick it up here, the country large population and the increasing prevalence of non-communicable diseases demand this kind of advanced treatment. Okay. So what is a biologics? So as we know, traditionally small molecules, either natural products or synthetic drugs, they're very popular in the 80s and actually then even in the late 80s, not many biotech drugs in the market. So now recently, biologics becomes quite popular. The one that you know here, insulin, and then growth hormone. And now antibodies is one of the top biologics. And with the new knowledge about mechanistic of how molecules got internalized into the cell, there is antibody drug conjugates that conjugate really toxic drug that usually you cannot use it as therapeutics because they are toxic. Now they can hook it up to uh, antibody to make like a guided missile, basically. They have become very selective. Uh, Also, peptides used to be when I was at Sterling Winthrop, uh, we worked there and everybody said peptide cannot be drugs. But now it's about 100 drugs, 100 peptides as a drug. Although previously in the old days, we have oxytocin discovered by Davinu, who get a Nobel Prize for discovering that molecule. But now lots of peptides in the market. People are deliver genes now. COVID vaccine is a delivering gene. Now we also have cell, what that becomes therapeutics. We call it CAR T cell to treat cancer. So because of that, the portfolio of biologics become increasing. This is a busy slide. I'm just going to highlight why biologics. So biologics usually has a large molecule, has a complex structure, but usually they're discovered because people understand the mechanistic of certain diseases or certain cells, and they are targeting that mechanism. That's the reason lots of this biologic is highly specific towards certain cells. Then because of their highly specific, they have lower side effect compared to the small molecule drugs. Now, because of the complexity of the structure of the molecule, they need a sophisticated way to formulate this molecule and to deliver them. So that's the reason we need to train scientists in this area. And our department early on in 1986 began to decide to train people in this area because at that time Genentech produced a lot of biologics like antibodies and hormones, and we think this is in the good area. So we are one of the premier departments who train people who formulate and deliver biologics. Now, although it's expensive to produce, but they have high potency and low side effects because they don't have off-target site compared in the small molecules. But they have other problems. Obviously, you cannot have all the advantage. So we need to train people in the area of how we're going to make, how we deliver them, how we formulate them. As you can see, this portfolio of global markets for therapeutics in 2018, only 31% biologics. In 2023, is 42% biologics. So if you look at the portfolio of pharmaceutical industry now, almost 50-50 research in R&D in small molecule and biologics. Now, why it's more popular? Like as I said, biologics is quite specific. As you can see, the global market just for antibodies. As I said, biology could be hormones, could be enzymes, and so forth. But just focus on monoclonal antibodies. Since 2002, you can see the sale quite increase, and it's predicted in 2025 the sales is 300 billion. So this is a huge market. As you can see, for example, antibody. How do the antibody works? Antibody is molecules that your body produce, these cells produce. And what it does is very specifically target certain proteins. So an example, somebody who has, let's say, Crohn's disease, it's inflammatory disease, they produce this protein called TNF alpha. That's a bad molecules if you have autoimmune diseases, and that's exacerbate the disease. So when you inject antibody will bind to this TNF alpha and then clear them up. When you clear them up, you can somehow reduce the exacerbation and suppress the disease. The other type of molecules that's also is endear to me, besides proteins and antibody, is peptides. When I was at Sterling, peptides is also, when we work with peptides, everybody says, well, they can't never be drugs. But as you can see, the increase in approval of peptides and the global markets in 2025 is about 52 billion. And it's projected will be 83 billion. So it's really, really important for Indonesia to think about this and see where we want to go in developing peptides and proteins and biologics. So the nice thing about proteins, like I said before, the side effect is pretty low, right? So what happens is, this is, again, Pak Dubes mentioned about STEM, but understanding the basic science, it's really, really important for development. So I'm always keep preaching to say that you got to know both. You got to know the basic science and you got to know the application of it. So, but the application can be developed, will be novel if you know the basic science. So for example, in this case, metastasis of breast cancer involve many proteins. And one of the protein that's really important is we call HER2. It's human epidermal growth factor receptor. And this protein only expressed in certain breast cancer cell. So what happens is, during metastasis, when they move from one side to another, this protein really, really important. So what pharmaceutical industry thinking is, they are developing antibody that bind to this protein, so the cell, the tumor cell, cannot metastasize. And later on, they discover, all including us, not with this molecule, but other molecules, apparently a lot of receptor on the surface of the cell, they get updated, they get internalized into the cell. So essentially, if you have this receptor only in cancer cell, molecule that bind to it can get internalized. Therefore, essentially, you can target that cancer cell only. So that's why, in this case, they are conjugating toxic drug to the antibody, so they can make what we call it antibody drug conjugates as a guided missile. So the antibody becomes the power or the missile, and then the toxic drug becomes the payload. And because they are guided to this protein that's only expressed in the cancer, that's the reason ADC, or antibody drug conjugate, becomes specific. There's not to say there's no off-target, but the off-target's eliminated. Therefore, they are more specific, so the side effect will be lower. So that's the reason there's a 15 antibody drug conjugate now approved by the FDA, and it will be more and more in the future. So this is the one, a little bit about basic science. So what people discover in the basic science, that when you have this antigen or some protein on the surface of the cell, And then you have antibody that you generate that bind to that receptor. What you can do is you can generate a rocket that can recognize this target, and then you put the payload, and then the cell, in this case cancer cell, will uptake them. And when they uptake them and they go to the endosome and then move to the lysosome compartment, in the lysosome, the antibody got degraded and released the payload. The payload goes to the cytosol, and then when they go to the cytosol and does it kill the cell. So that's the reason this antibody drug conjugate has a lot lower side effects, because they are not going to every cell. So they avoid normal cell. So that's the reason this process can direct specific to whatever cells you want to target, with the qualification that that cell produce a specific target that normal cells do not have. So this is the anti-cancer drugs that's been available, and what they did is they put the antibody, they conjugate it to toxic drug, and therefore this is the missile that can target certain cell. In this case is leukemia. And something like one thing that I was thinking about, Indonesia has a lots of research in natural products, right? Because we have lots of resources. Some of those natural products probably really toxic, but as by itself, they cannot be a drug because they have a lots of side effects. Now there's a technology which is using antibody. You can use that molecules. In fact, that's what they did here. This molecule, caleximycin, is very toxic. By itself, you cannot develop this as a drug because they will have a huge side effect. But by conjugating them to antibody, they can be used as a drug. So this is a big opportunity for Indonesia, especially lots of scientists in Indonesia working with natural products. So our group also not only work with antibody, we also work with peptide, which is a lot easier to synthesize, to use that as a targeted drug delivery method to lower the toxicity of therapeutic. And we have efforts with UNPAD and UGM, couple of students doing research on this to develop peptide drug conjugates. So a little bit about what we do. So a bit complex here, but I'm just going to do it very easily here. So in autoimmune diseases, what happens is your certain subpopulation, your immune cell, get activated and recognize your own tissue or your own body. So in the case of multiple sclerosis, some of your immune cell infiltrate your brain and attack the myelin sheath. And because of it attack the myelin sheath, then your neuron cannot send signal and the patient become paralyzed. So we've been able to design this biologics, which is piece of antibody conjugated with peptides. This process can suppress the activation of inflammatory cells. We call it Th1 and Th17. That's prevalent. The most prevalent is Th17, and they subdue the disease. Okay, and recently we also found that our molecules upregulate Treg that control the inflammatory systems. And as you know, recently Tregs researchers got Nobel Prize because it used to be in the 80s, nobody knows if there's Tregs, but now we know that Tregs is really, really important to balance your immune systems. When it's inflamed, the Tregs would get activated. And our molecules here did that job. See here, the model of multiple sclerosis animal. When we stimulate the disease, you can see the exacerbation of the disease. But when we treat it with this molecule, you can see the reversal of the disease, and the animals becomes healthy. So this is a little bit about our research that also based on basic science, basic understanding how immune cell works. So again, I cannot stress enough that the basic science drive the application. So we have to have those two developed. Okay, nowadays cell can be therapeutics. So in the case of a lot of patients that do not respond anymore to normal anti-cancer drug, they can isolate the T cell. Apparently, the cancer cell has this antigen on the surface, and then you can isolate their T cell, and then you can insert the gene to get this CAR receptor, and then you can proliferate their patient T cell outside, and then inject it back to the patient. And the CAR T cell will recognize the antigen on the tumor cell and then kill the tumor cells. And we have lots of activity here in Kansas, in Children's Mercy Hospital, to develop this type of technology. And they've shown that patients, kids, children that's not responding anymore to normal therapeutics, responding really well with this CAR T cell. Okay. Oops, sorry. So how about biologics in Indonesia? I know there is, I've been doing some research and talked to some people, and Indonesia has some activity in biosimilars. What is a biosimilar? It's almost like a generic. Biosimilar is a biologic drugs that is similar to the approved drugs that hopefully Indonesian government support biosimilars productions in Indonesia, because this could lead to economic benefits, job creation, and also hopefully can reduce cost saving in healthcare, then improve the pharmaceutical infrastructure. And also hopefully it lower the dependability from outside import, and maybe attract lots of investment from outside to develop biosimilars and later on biologics. For patient benefits, obviously, lots of diseases that cannot be treated with a small molecule can be treated with biologics. And the specificity of the drugs and the innovative treatments probably can solve a lot of problems that small molecule can't solve. And hopefully, if we produce them in Indonesia, lowering the costs and lowering the costs in general for healthcare, and also increase a chance for patients with this type of high potent and selective drugs. For scientific benefits, obviously we can increase knowledge transfer technology. It could be stimulating innovations in this area, enhancing scientific capabilities in universities and also for students, and Indonesia could be the leaders in this field. And from my trips to Indonesia a lot, this effort is still minimal, especially in universities. Although UGM has a biotech center that I collaborate with, and I think this has to be more focus in this area and to stimulate research in this area. So what we need is to increase critical mass in order to be advancing in this area. So as you know, I'm not going to talk about it too much. This process of discovering molecules is not simple. It's very complex. It needs collaboration. So we cannot be silo anymore. If you see lots of my papers, we usually have 2-3 faculty members in the doing this. We cannot do it alone. So there's, again, I mentioned lots of basic science important. So far as I know, with the biologics or the biosimilar, we are in this space here. We develop and then manufacturing. The discovery, hopefully discovery will be more and more, because I know I collaborate with UNPAD. They're investing, a couple of my collaborators investing in peptides, looking at peptides, which is, I'm happy to do that. And then every time I get invited to give a talk, and a lot of students are really interested. And by the way, I teach 2 courses in UNPAD. I teach also in UGM. So I do that from here, just like this. And by the way, I'm not only talk about science. Also, I think I talk about scientific integrity, how to train students to follow the guidelines in science, and also teach them how to write papers and grants. So, of course, it costs a lot of money to do this, huge amount. One drug is cost like 2.5 billion from start to finish. So the important thing is we need to select the efficient direction. Where do we want to go? Well, we have to be strategic on this and start with biosimilars. That's a great thing, I think, for training and for getting a low-cost drug at the beginning. But sooner or later, we need to go to discover, right? So it takes probably a while, about 10 years to get one to push to the market. Yeah, strategically, government and industrial support is really important. And then we should leverage the existing companies, either and increase their productions or expand their capabilities, and stimulate also academic industrial research. But that's what we did. As I show you, I'm collaborating all the time with industry and increase the critical mass, not only in basic science, also applied science. That's the reason I always train students. I bring students from Indonesia to here. And kind of this collaboration to discover, that's right now, as far as I know, Indonesia is in just development and production, not in discovery yet. That's my perspective. I might be wrong. Okay. Okay. Can university involve in producing drug? Not producing, but in research. Lead to production. So this is products that's out there based on discovery in cancers. So we have lots of therapeutics. These are antivirals and then antipsychotics. And we have here in cancers, we have technology center. We have place for faculty that has discovered something, and then they can spin off a company. And they've developed their products up to preclinical. Maybe they later on work with big company to develop and produce the drugs. So can university help the economy? Yes, there's a publication recently that KU really contribute to economy of cancers because of our research and our products. So should we invest in this? In my opinion, yes. Indonesia should invest in biologics. And it will have positive impact to the economy, to the patient, and to the science. Obviously, can't be done just by the university, can't be done by the industry, but it has to be collaboration and has to have support of the government. And certainly, university and research institutes should be involved in training the scientists and not only in the development, but also in discovery. So as you know, I'm the head of director of Global Health Center, and we collaborate a lot. One of our collaboration is in University of Nairobi and in Kenya. We have exchanged students, faculties, scientists, and we visit them every year. As you can see, I'm in Kenya there, and we are training the pharmacists to deliver vaccines, because in US, pharmacists can deliver vaccines. So that's what we do, and we have exchange students from Kenya. Here, as I listed here, since 1997, I've been training Indonesian students. As you know, Unpad, Burani, came here to visit us, and 2 of her students will come probably December or January. And also Patri here from UGM, and 2 of his students. The first 6 months, these 2 students are supported by PMDSU. And then because they are good, I support them for 1 year here, extended. And then they have 2 or 3 papers. One of them, 2 of them have been published. So this can be done, right? So I do it myself. I don't have any support from Indonesian government except the PMDSU at the beginning, but also collaborate with 1 other student. This is me at UGM, discussing the students' potential research, but she's here now. So she's been here for 6 months, and then with her own funding, and then I invite her back 1 year here. So we could do that. This is my previous students. In 1997, I invited Dr. Erna Sinaga. She got PhD from UI, but she did her research here. I supported her for 2 years. And then Rahmawati Ridwan, also from FKUI, I supported her for 2 years here. And Vivid also got PhD from UI. And now I have lots of students from all over the world, and one of them also from UI, Pilia, and then this Aza, undergraduate at KU, and he worked with me, and then now he's in cancer biology at UCLA. So here again, recently, there are lots of Indonesian here. 1, 2, 3, 4 Indonesian here recently. So 2 of them, one just finished PhD from UGM. She will finish PhD, did a research here. And this is one of my former students, now is faculty at UGM. And she's from UII, PhD students that just came back. So it's possible, and I've been training them. So thank you very much. Hopefully we can continue our collaborations.